Let me be absolutely clear here. I'm not here to sugarcoat the truth and tell you that everything will return back as it once was in late 2019. Because that's not true. I would be lying. And plus, I think that almost everyone can sense that the world will never be the same. Like I said in my other video titled, Our World is Changing, Why Adaptation is Important. Those days are over, gone. A new world is to be born. Just picture a phoenix and the process of its death and the rebirth of its life. That's the process of this world right now. So you better be ready for it, as there's no escaping it. So the question is, why am I saying all of this? What is the purpose of this video? Simple. Look, the purpose of this video is to show you how miserable the state of the world is. Yes, that is my aim. And yes, I do believe the state of the world is going to get more worse without it getting any better for a certain class of people. The signs are all there. Listen, let the truth be told. We are living in a rigged world controlled by a certain class of people who don't have your best interest at heart. I think a lot of people globally know this, right? Is there hope? Is our life ruined? Are we doomed to misery until death? The answer to that question is simple and clear, which is no, of course not. So what is the solution then, Shaheed, you may be thinking? The solution is straightforward and easy, in discussion. However, the implementation of the solution is another thing entirely. Unfortunately, most will find it hard, challenging, and some may even consider the solution to be somewhat nonsensical. Many of you have been affected by this global crisis, some more than others, right? Our middle ground is that we can all agree there are people out there in our world who has deeply been affected by this global mess, who have lost loved ones due to not having access to medical treatment for cancer or other life-threatening illnesses. There are people out there who have lost their marriages, homes, jobs and businesses. There are people out there who have accrued massive financial debts, such as having to pay back money taken from family, friends, government support and private loans. All of this due to this global madness, resulting in hundreds, thousands and millions of people falling into severe anxiety, stress and depression. In most cases, these emotions are supplemented with a high volume of alcohol consumption and drug abuse. And in some extreme cases, if these emotions are not checked or are left unattended, can easily result in an individual finding no reason to live anymore, even though he or she may still have their whole life ahead of them or a family to fend for. Then suicide becomes the only option, a door of escape, a lifebuoy within an ocean of misery. you know. This is what suicide is. It's a lifebuoy when drowning in an ocean of unrelenting problems. So again, what is the solution? How can we prevent ourselves from going down a road of severe anxiety, stress, and depression? How do we avoid seeking help from temporary escapism like alcohol and drugs? How do we avoid even contemplating acts of self-harm or suicide? How? Listen, let me tell you something. Please don't be that person who is sitting there right now, who's sitting there thinking, this could never happen to me. Let me tell you something. Life is so strange. Indeed, how many times have we said that I will never do such and such a thing? Somewhere down the line, the road of our lives, we end up doing the very thing we said, or even go as far as to swear by God that we will never do such and such a thing, only to end up doing the thing that we said we would never do. How many times? Be honest. Be honest now. Because I know personally I have countless times. So the question still remains. It still stands. So how do we protect ourselves from such actions? How? Trust me, the solution is much easier said than done, and maybe one of the hardest things that you're going to have to do in your life, and it takes time to master. A lot of falling over, brushing yourself off, falling over again, brushing yourself off. Do you know what this thing is? The solution. Do you know what it is? Self-control. Meaning controlling how we respond, react to the events and circumstances that take place within our lives. We know full well that there are some things that happens in our lives that if we intervene, our actions can change certain events that happen. However, we also know too well that there are events and circumstances that take place within our lives we just can't control. Events and circumstances that are just completely out of our power. And no matter what we do, this event has to come to pass. Such as losing someone dear to you, being in an accident that has resulted in you never being able to walk again, or being told that maybe you have cancer or someone dear to you does, or your significant other telling you that things have changed on their side and they're falling out of love with you. So the only thing for them to do now is to leave. I mean, the list literally goes on. In all of these named situations, indeed would no doubt be heavy on the heart to deal with. However, there is one thing that the human being is blessed with, and you have to truthfully realize this and understand this, and that is the power of choice. We can choose how we respond to the events in our lives, whether it be in a positive way or a negative way. Each responsive action has its own reward, whether it be beneficial for you or not. So be warned. We know by our own actions, responsive actions, that is, they have a profound impact upon the human psyche. Not only the human psyche, but the human health in its totality. You see, cognitive neuroscientists have discovered when we respond negatively to a particular event or events within our lives and start to pollute our minds with toxic thoughts followed up by wrong actions, the repercussions can be devastating. Worst case scenario, even fatal. Believe it or not. You see, harboring toxic thoughts have been proven to be linked to health issues. And so being constant in a state of negativity can elevate a person's state of stress to becoming chronic. And so the repercussions of that is your body releasing a tsunami of toxic chemicals, and continues to do so as long as those negative thoughts and negative responsive actions coexist in your life on a daily basis, and also are left to live rent-free within your body without having some kind of outlet. If not treated, will without any doubt start to become an imposition on your immune system, and over time it will begin to weaken it. If the event or circumstances you are currently facing is handled or approached in the wrong way for a long period of time and with a weakened immune system, your body is more susceptible to the chemical imbalance taking place within your body caused by this constant negative anxiety. This extreme stress or chronic depression, which in turn will reward your health, your body, with an array of all types of illnesses, from minor to major, or to displaying symptoms of ASPD, which stands for antisocial personality disorder, and so on. All this and more. All because one's mental health was lacking the appropriate approach to a situation that one currently finds themselves in. It has also been discovered that 75 to 95% of illnesses are caused by our wrong approach to life problems, even though there are some exceptions to the rule, like genetics. But in most cases, people's illnesses are caused by not being positive. And what I mean by this is they keep on endorsing in wrong actions, which are simply the manifestation of one's negative mindset that causes those toxic chemicals to be released and to flourish throughout your bodies. You see, your mind is truly a powerful piece of software, and it really is linked to the well-being of your bodies. Your body does truly follow the mind. You see, being positive and optimistic is essential to your health. And like I've mentioned on my website, that I have learned through my own independent studies, there are over 300 million people and more worldwide suffering from some kind of mental breakdown or are near enough on the verge of one. That's the whole population of the United States of America. That's truly incredible. And these are the people who are registered suffering with some kind of chronic stress or depression, right? Let alone the people who suffer in silence, or those who are dissuaded not to seek help, or are in denial, or those who are just too proud to seek help and sees seeking help as a form of weakness. If they were all to be registered and be accounted for, I'm sure the number would be astronomical if they were all to be added up together. And this is prior to the global pandemic, let alone now. So in short, we cannot control some events within our lives, but we can change how we react to the events that take place within our lives. And make no mistake or excuses that we don't have absolute power how we respond to events in our lives, because we do. Your reactions will determine what chemicals will be allowed to run rampant within your body. So be cognizant of this simple fact. Practicing self-control and self-discipline are crucial components to owning a healthy state of mind and body. And yes, there is a profound difference between the two. And like I said in my video titled "Our World is Changing, Why Adaptation is Important," I speak about the transformation of this world and the importance of being able to evolve alongside its metamorphosis. If you haven't seen it, I sincerely advise you to do so and go and check it out. So how is all of the above relevant? It should be obvious. The whole planet's population is going through a mental crisis at this point in time. One global pandemic has created a pandemic within a pandemic, within a pandemic, within a pandemic, and so on. Just like the effect of an infinity mirror. It's endless. Listen, I'm not even going to try and go on as if there is a simple fix to your problems, because some of you have mega problems. I mean, there are some of you who may have lost a business that you have built from ground up. And by this I mean by shedding blood, sweat and tears over it. And now it's no more. It's gone. Everything has been lost to this global pandemic. Just like that. Watching the health or the life of your business just wither away, slowly crumbling before your very eyes as you desperately try to keep it afloat, as the lengths of these lockdowns are increased and sanctioned by the very people we have elected to be in power over us. Now, all previous efforts spent to save your business that you built with your own two hands from the ground up, or even a business that was entrusted to you, inherited, passed down to you from those before you, like a family heirloom, a business that was in your family for generations. Your efforts to save it came to no avail. What about those of you who have just newly opened up a business after days, months, and maybe years of researching and planning and gathering the finances, whether it be from sponsors, loans, investors, or even your own life savings? I mean, You just finally opened the doors to your business, to the world, just before this global madness, only to close the doors of your business within weeks or months after the inception of this global pandemic. So I can't begin to comprehend your feelings or to position myself as if I can relate to your situation, because I can't. I haven't experienced it. I mean, some of you have crazy responsibilities, and there may be people who depend upon you, like business partners, families, members, and therefore bills need to be paid, like mortgages or medical bills or education. All that for some are now not possible. All I'm left to do is sympathize and empathize with your plight. What about some of you who have lost loved ones, like children or parents, close friends, partners that you have been married with for years and now was forced to say goodbye to them because they couldn't receive the treatment they needed while being in lockdown? That's tough. So many souls were lost to us, which our mainstream media doesn't want to show, meaning the true reality, the true damage caused by this global. Let's just stick with the official narrative for now. This global pandemic. I mean, what are you guys feeling? And then not being allowed to give the deceased a proper send-off due to the social distancing protocols. It's not easy. What about those of you who had received a phone call informing you that a senior member within your family has crossed over to the other side, and you received this sad news by phone? How many of you globally had a senior member of your family die alone on their beds without the comfort of a family member being present to bid them farewell? How many? How many family members just received a phone call informing them that their mum, their dad, grandma, granddad, or other senior members within their family passed? Many last words were denied. Now the psychological impact left on those of you who were denied that special and precious moment are left now with those feelings for keeps, for the rest of your life. What about those of you who had loved ones who were registered as being mentally vulnerable prior to this global pandemic and were seriously concerned about their mental health, knowing full well isolation could and will be the nail in their coffin, only for your concerns to be certified by a phone call informing you that your son, daughter, mum, dad, or just someone close to you had committed suicide due to the absence of support caused by these lockdowns, pandemic? How many human souls were lost to us? I could only try to imagine what you've been going through, but we'll never fully know until it happens to me. God forbid.